Welcome to the Blue Collar Gold Podcast, the podcast that shows you how to build a world-class service business from the dirt up. And now, your host, Mark Stoner.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blue Collar Gold Podcast. Hope you guys had a good week. It's been an interesting week at my companies, good and bad as usual. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm wearing my Nashville Predators Smash hat. We had our opener tonight and we won 5-2 against the Minnesota Wild. We're looking like we're going to have a good team this year, so go Predators. My company, Ashbusters, is a corporate sponsor for the team, so I'm all in, and hopefully they win. So we have a funny thing. We have a Bust a Move cam. So Ashbusters Bust a Move dance cam during the game, and about a third of the home games, it comes up and people dance, and our name is all around the arena. And it's a really fun way to brand your company, and we get a lot of great response for it and support our local team. So go Predators. I wanted to start this week. I had a funny article that I don't know if you guys have ever seen this service. It's called paper.li, and you go to paper.li and you can put in any topic you want or that you want to follow, and it creates a newspaper for you. It goes around the internet and grabs everything that would be related to your topic, and then it will make it into a daily newspaper for you. So I typed in blue collar, and so I get a daily newspaper, and it about blue collar work and blue collar stuff, and so just kind of gives me an update on maybe what some of the latest stuff that's talked about. Sometimes it's completely off topic, but sometimes there's some interesting things in there about blue collar work. So the funny article came in, and it was about blue collar cats. And these blue collar cats are pretty funny. They are, what it is, a program in Washington, D.C., and these cats are basically rescues. They're not house cats at all. And you can actually sign up for them. They'll give them to you for free. And they're for industrial work, for getting rid of rodents, pesticide free, relatively, low maintenance. And you just sign up for them and you can put them to work. And it's so interesting. This company will bring you cats. And so in this article it says, why hire a blue collar cat? Blue collar cats are a cleaner alternative to toxic pesticides. They're less expensive and more effective. So it was really funny. And it says, what if I'm not a cat person? It says, blue collar cats aren't really into you either. All they want from you is a safe shelter, regular food. Otherwise, they'll mind their own business. It's unlikely that people with allergies will be affected by blue collar cats, as these cats, one, live outside, and two, prefer not to come in contact with humans. I just thought it was so funny and interesting. They also said that they're more effective because in this line it says, what happens to the rodents? Blue collar cats will need a short adjustment period in their new environment before getting to work. Once on the job, you may find remains of rodents lying around, but rats are smart, and the word spreads quickly that your business is no longer a safe place for pests. Before long, the mere presence of your blue collar cat will be enough to keep most rodents away. So I just thought that was cool. It's just funny. I like cats. We have cats. I'm a dog person. Probably if I really go one or the other, I probably like dogs a little bit better, but I like cats too. So if you need a blue collar cat, and you're in the DC area, I think the website is called Humane Rescue Alliance, humanerescuealliance.org/blue collar cats. So public service announcement, fun thing, and I loved it. So this week, I want to talk about, I've had several podcasts on leadership, and this week some other leadership things cropped up in my company that I still would like to talk about. And one of them, it kind of goes back to a story of, and I don't think I've spoken about it before on the podcast, but there's a book called Whale Done. And in Whale Done, they talk about how they train killer whales to do the amazing things they do. And if you've heard this story, you can fast forward for about a minute or two while I tell it. If you haven't, I still think it's fascinating how it works with people or kids or anything. So this book is about, if you train a killer whale, if these, I don't think they're doing as much as they used to, but say in SeaWorld where they're training them. If we're going to train them to begin with, say if I'm a trainer and I have another trainer, we would put on scuba suits and we would go underwater and we'd have like a stick between us. And we would go underwater and we would signal the whale to come between us and over the stick. If the whale would go over the stick and go between us, we would cheer it, we would pat it on the back, we would feed it fish, and it would understand that is what you want to do. Well, if it goes under the stick or it will go around us, we can't yell at the whale, you can't spank the whale, you can't punish the killer whale. The only punishment is he doesn't get the reward and maybe the praise. So pretty soon he learns to go over the stick. When he goes over the stick, we all cheer and praise. Well, pretty soon that's all it knows how to do. It goes over it every time, no big deal. So we as trainers raise the stick up. We finally raise it up to say the level of the water. Well, the whale will have to breach the water, do something that maybe a little bit different for them, and it breaches and goes over. We cheer it, goes under. We don't really pay attention. We just whistle it back up and say, do it again, do it again. Pretty soon, it's second nature. Next thing you know, we can raise the stick up 30 feet out of the water, or I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating, 20 feet out of the water, something very high. And that whale does crazy, amazing things. And everybody watching goes, wow, that's amazing. And it pretty soon, if you watch, it jumps and then it goes circles around and they get some fish and give it a reward. It's a great scenario for business or family. With whatever behavior that you want to make sure is repeated in your business or your family or your kids, you praise it, you reward it, you get behind it, you celebrate it. If you don't like the behavior, now sometimes as a business owner, absolutely there has to be consequences to bad behavior. But can we have more positives when the things are right? And when the things are wrong, we just don't pay as much. We circle them back up and say, okay, that wasn't it. Let's do it again. Now, clearly, some people don't learn. Humans have more, emotions and things to go along with that. And sometimes they're just not going to do it. And we need to move on. But in general, I've found that I want to praise the good behavior. And people just naturally move toward what they get praised for. I mean, it's just like kids in playing sports. If a kid gets praised a lot playing sports and he is good and he makes the team and then he's praised a lot and he does it just a little bit better, then he makes the all-star team. And then he gets a little bit better because he's on the all-star team with better kids. And all that praise builds up into a better player. If you don't get praised, if you don't get the coach's eye, if you don't get the owner's eye and nobody is really celebrating your wins, you don't feel like you're excelling. For me, the challenge is as the business grows to really pay attention to the people. I can't always drill all the way down and watch everybody, but when I do, when I have a chance to interact with anybody, I really try to look for the positive that's happening. I can't always do that, but in general I do. So just a lesson as a leader, if you're leading, look for the good in people, praise the good, minimize the bad. You'll get more good just naturally. Now, if I've got to go negative, I'm going probably pretty short negative. I'm I'm going to say something quickly and I'm going to keep it short. There's a leadership principle that in general you should communicate in short sentences. Basically short declarative sentences. If it was going to take you 50 words, can you do it in 10 words? The more words you use to communicate your expectations, the less confident you sound. Explaining why too much invites arguments. I've heard some other business coaches, even our industry, say, you got to tell them why. You got to understand why. The new generation, the millennials, need to know why. That's not true. If you always explain why, that's opening yourself up for arguments. That's the easiest way for you to be argued against, is all the whys. Sometimes the why needs to be because I said so. Okay, that doesn't always work. But sometimes it absolutely is the right thing to say. There's no why. It's because I'm in charge of running this company. I pay you to do a job. The why is I need you to do it. Now, sometimes, clearly, when I'm trying to move the whole company to a direction, I probably, and especially if it's going to affect wages or people's money, I need to explain why. I need to explain why we're going to move and change something that's going to affect them. Now, that doesn't, and sometimes I will open it up. I want to hear what's being said and what could be a problem. In a way, if you open it up early, way before you do the solution, and you tell everybody, here's what we're thinking about doing, here's what we need to do it, here's why we need to do it, it'll open it up and it'll say, I don't like it, and here's how it's going to affect me. And as a leader, you can make a decision. Okay, that's valid. I hadn't thought of that. Or hey, I hate that it's going to affect you that way, but if we don't, it's going to affect the business in that way. It's going to affect a lot more people. In general, you got to protect profitability. You have to protect profitability at all costs, because if there's no profit, there's no business, and everyone suffers. I mentioned this last week. I sometimes forgo profit for growth many times, and I've done it for years, where instead of making sure I hit a certain profitability number, I figured the profit would come later. And basically that works okay as long as the economy is going good. The problem is if you work for years and years and have nothing set back and the economy recoils, then you're in trouble. You can't gauge everything on sales. You can't depend on sales to happen. And basically you have, nothing in the bank and you have no backup. So for me, as a business right now, we are really working on making sure we're hitting certain profit numbers. And then if we hit those profit numbers, yes, continue to grow, responsibly. But don't throw all the money at growth and not protect that profit and protect that nest egg. In general, in business, I feel like you need at least 6 months of expenses in the bank to be really safe. Now, a lot of companies run with 1 month, sometimes they'll run with 1 week worth of expenses in the bank, but in general, it's probably pretty common to have a month or two's worth of expenses in the bank. But to be safer, if you can get 6 months to a year's worth of expenses in the bank, that's really smart growth. Once you get certain, amounts in the bank, then grow responsibly. But if I'm doing a good job for the listeners out there, their own businesses, I need to tell you the way we're thinking, and hopefully I'm wrong, but all indicators say that there may be a recoil in, we've been on the longest growth, I think, in American history, longest growth track. Naturally, in all cycles, something changes. Just be ready for it. If it doesn't, great, you're in better shape. If it does, great, you were ready for it. But I think with some of the early indicators, this season, if you're in the chimney business especially, this is the season to save money. This is the season to put as much money away as possible and make sure you have those reserves stacked up. And then, hey, if we come through it and we don't go through a recession, you're really prepared for the next stage of growth. But if it happens, hey, you're wise about it. One of the bad things that happened in the last downturn was a lot of people weren't ready for it, and it hit most everybody by surprise. And the banks basically said, hey, we want our money back. If you've got lines of credit out or you've got loans out, we want our money back. And that hurt so many businesses and put many businesses out of business when they were depending on other people's money for leverage. My point is depend on you for leverage. Make sure your house is in order. Don't depend on other people and other things. Get your house in order and be ready for if the economy and things change. Just a bit of advice. It's what we're doing. It's a thought process we're doing. And, I think it's just wise. All right. So, I do have another dumb is real, moment. And it's funny because it was when I was in Switzerland. It happened actually twice. The first time was in Switzerland. The second time was this year when we were over in Sweden. And when we were in Sweden, this happened too, but not in such a bad way. And I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to explain why it was dumb. Now, in general, when you go over to Europe, they do a lot of things better than we do. They do a lot of things smarter, more economical, more frugal. We're kind of wild and, everything's on the table here. But they do some things really dumb, and it's better. They need to think through it better. And this was one of those cases. Now, again, I'm an American over there. I don't understand all the rules, but some rules and some things should be just self-evident and have options to fix them. And I'll explain what I mean. So I rent a car over there, and this is a few years ago in Switzerland. We're visiting over there. We're driving around looking at things, and I pull into a parking garage. Well, I pull into a parking garage, and I park the car, and we get out, and we walk around this town in Switzerland, and it's amazing and beautiful. It's right on a lake and just amazing. Well, comes time to leave the parking garage. We pull in, we pull up. It's a single lane kind of ramp up and around in the parking garage, and it comes to a gate. I pull up to it. I look over, and there's nowhere to put my payment. There's nowhere to put my credit card or anything. It's just stick your ticket in. And I'm like, there's no way. It was a prepaid situation where you had to go into the parking garage, pay for your ticket when you came back out, and then put it in the machine. In this case, it was literally a one-lane ramp out, and I'm stuck at the machine to get out, and I can't pay and get out. Well, another car pulls up behind me, and it's raining. It starts to storm. And I'm like, I literally tried to get out and see if I could lift the gate. I couldn't. And now another car pulls up behind him. And the one guy gets out and comes up, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, we didn't realize we had to pay. And he's like, yeah, you've got to pay in these parking garages. I'm like, yeah, I didn't realize it. Seems kind of dumb. Should be able to pay either at that little ticket or getting out of here or something, or 2 lanes to get out in case somebody has trouble checking out. Well, it's starting to storm, and my friend's like, man, let me go, give me that ticket, let me go try to pay for it at the machine. So he jumps out, it's raining, and now cars are really starting to pile up behind us and starting to beep. And he's gone, and then he's gone for a while. And now it's so backed up that people can't now get into the parking garage. Everything is log jammed because of me. I am jammed, and people are mad. They're yelling, they're beeping. They're just so mad at how stupid we are for clogging up the entire parking garage. Well, my friend who went to get the ticket paid for, it wouldn't take his credit card. It was declining it. So he had to find an ATM machine to find cash or francs, get that into francs, come back to the other machine, pay for the ticket, and then come to us. This was taking like 30 minutes or more. And people were so mad at us. And finally, one of my friend's son was in the back seat and people were yelling at us, and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry, we didn't know it. We're Canadian." So it was just hilarious, and nobody hates Canadians; they hate Americans. So we had a good laugh on it. Finally, we got out of that garage and got out of there. Funny thing was, it happened again this year. We were in Sweden, and the guy was from Sweden, and he forgot to pay. But luckily, this parking garage had 2 lanes to get out in case somebody had trouble. So that's my dumb is real. Dumb is having no way. One single car can clog up the entire parking garage. Is a dumb system. So that's it. Dumb is real. I think I might have to come up with like some little music piece or a little sound when I do my dumb is real thing as a clip. But anyway, just thought. All right, so I also had, I don't know if you guys, I mentioned earlier on a couple other podcasts, the TV show Undercover Billionaire. And spoiler alert, I won't spoil too much of it, but the season is over. I watched all the episodes, I caught up on them. And I love that show. I mean, I don't know if it's all totally real, if all the scenarios are real, if all the things are real. But in the TV show, he's really fighting some issues, and he also tries to give business and leadership lessons. And he's a very nice guy, and I like that about the show, because a lot of these reality shows, the main person had to be mean, had to be crazy, had to be some big personality that didn't seem real. This guy's a nice guy. He's a real guy. He's a nice guy. He's a very caring guy. But it was pretty cool to see him kind of get mad too. And certain people needed really hard truths and needed to be held accountable. And he was really pretty good at doing it. He would listen, but then he would fire back at really what they wanted to hear. And he really learned, and he really tries to teach you how to get the best out of people in all kinds of situations. And what was funny is he started off trying to do one business, and he switched to barbecue and metal fabrication. Well, that's what I do. So when I watched the TV show, he was already a successful business person, and then he realized barbecue and beer may be a good business, and he hooked up with a metal fabricator to make this barbecue smoker and all this stuff. And really great show. Seemed very real to me. They ran into real problems. They had real successes, and they ended up doing really well at the barbecue contest they got in to kind of launch their project. That very same weekend, we cooked in a barbecue contest, and I've gone to pro barbecue schools, and I did pro barbecue for a couple of years. Our team at my company, we were a pro barbecue team and did a lot of fun stuff. Really enjoyed it. I also went to pro barbecue judging school at Jack Daniels and learned how to judge barbecue. So this last weekend, we got to do a fun thing for charity. It's called Barbecue and Red Shoes, and it benefited the Ronald McDonald House. And we were up against about 80 teams, and some of them are world-class pro teams. Some of them have cooked in the Jack Daniel World Championships. And so we didn't have the highest of hopes of doing well. I mean, we're a good team. We don't cook a lot these days, but I still know the processes and can still make really good food. Well, we got in there, and right off the bat, like all things you jump into, problems. We get to the setup. It's a 5 a.m. load in. So we load in at 5 a.m. It's a one-day contest. A lot of these contests for 2 days. You load in on, say, Thursday or maybe Friday morning. You cook all day Friday, and the contest is actually on Saturday. Well, this is a one-day deal. So there's no really long smokes like brisket or pulled pork. It's appetizer, ribs, people's choice, and chicken. So right off the bat, we have a generator. We start it up, and the generator will not throw any power out of the outlets. Well, I have pellet-fed smokers that require to be plugged in because they're like a wood-fired oven, but they have an auger and they have electronics. We couldn't run the smoker, so then we had to run and buy a generator, another generator. And it worked, but right off the bat, one of the smokers, the auger quit working on it. It had some kind of a catch in the motor and we could not fix it. So right then we were down to half our cooking space in the middle of a contest that is on, it's going. And now I don't have enough cooking space, and you got to cook at different temperatures on these different smokers to do things. And we were out of that. So we had to scrap our People's Choice contest piece to give because we just didn't have room for it. We had to turn that into a charcoal grill and try to cook on it. But we cooked an appetizer and we won first place out of all the teams in appetizer, which was a bacon covered shrimp, but in the bacon, and we call it millionaire bacon, where you put brown sugar, chili powder, and cayenne, and you bake the bacon. You don't fry it, you bake it, and it gets real crispy and sweet. And then we dip the shrimp in that same mixture and then wrap it, and then we grill it, and then you put some sauce on it, some homemade sauce that one of our guys made. Won first place. That was awesome. So when it was so funny when they were calling the winners, we were still talking. We didn't think we had a chance in that, and they called us first place. We went crazy. The next category we were not involved in because we couldn't cook for People's Choice. The next category was chicken, and we thought we did good on chicken, but it wasn't amazing, but it was good. We got second place in chicken. We were on cloud nine. All we had to do was do decent in ribs, and we were going to win the whole thing. And ribs is a specialty of mine. We've done really well in the past in pro competitions. I felt pretty good, but I used a different flavor. I used a peach flavored rub. That can be really good or it can be bad. In this case, if you don't know it's peach that you're tasting on these ribs, you may think it's something weird. And I think that's what happened when I looked at our scores. We scored really well on appearance, but on taste, we got 7s and 8s. In barbecue, you have to have all 9s. A 7 is death in barbecue, and sometimes 8s are. So they didn't love my flavor, so I learned a lot. But hey, we had a great time. We did it for charity, and we absolutely had a great time, and it's a great team building event for a good cause. That's Ronald McDonald House Barbecue and Red Shoes if you want to donate. My last public service announcement is on Sweep Cancer. We have had so many great responses, and we've been able to help so many people. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for anybody that's helping us. Thank you for that. It's sweepawaycancer.com. But right now, the month of October is Cancer Awareness, and we have some really cool t-shirts, really cool sweatshirts, and the people who designed the swag have done a great job. And so if you're out there, please go there, support this effort. We give all the money to people with cancer. We also will, and we want you to take pictures of your team wearing the shirts, or if you're a recipient of one of our grants, please, wear a t-shirt, snap a picture, and support a great cause. And again, that's sweepawaycancer.com. All right, guys, that's my time. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed Blue Collar Cats. I hope you like Dumb is Real, and I hope you support some great causes out there. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Blue Collar Gold Podcast. Please subscribe on iTunes or any place that you listen to podcasts. More information is also available at markstoner.com.